Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Red Dot Forum Camera Talk. We are still switched.
I mean, this is maybe our new normal. I don't know.
Are you guys prepared for that? Maybe it's 2021 normal.
We're both wearing checked shirts today, so
In blue.
in blue.
In blue.
Can't tell us apart.
So, all right. Just switch over. Make sure everyone is hanging out in the chat there.
All right. Hello, everybody who's saying
Hello.
hi. Hello
guys.
from Florida.
Yeah, hello from sunny, hot, humid Florida. It's March, and that's the beginning of our summer, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. So, in today's episode, the reason we
You
have...
can introduce yourself?
No, I'm not. Okay.
Or you just assume everyone knows who you are by now?
I kind of do.
I see how.
Yeah, sure. Let's do the intro.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks.
So, welcome to Red Dot Forum Camera Talk. I am David Farkas. I am joined, as always, with Josh Lehrer. And producing the show, we've got Jose Rivera.
Hello, hello.
Hanging out in the chat, we've got Kirsten Vignes. And, of course, you guys are watching us. So we've got you, too. All right. What are we talking about today?
Well, today's episode is probably the most specific one we've ever done, which is all about what is in this box. The new, as of like a few weeks ago, Leica APO-Summicron-M 35mm f2 ASPH, which is hopefully, we'll find out, the best 35mm lens for M system that Leica has ever made. We've had a lot of questions. Inevitably, everybody wants to know how it compares to everything else, and we're going to talk about that. We've had good feedback about our real-time live view shooting, so David will be running the SL2 as we've done before.
Yep.
It's a little bit harder with a 35 because we had to redo the whole studio. I say we, David, had to redo the whole studio to accommodate the extra width.
Yes.
But, you know, I think it'll be still demonstrative of what it can do.
And just so you know, just a little taste of what's to come. We also had great feedback, and you guys really liked seeing Josh's testing that he does.
My
So
super boring tests.
super duper exciting testing. So we've got that queued up in Lightroom. He's got all the tests and comparisons against all the other 35 lenses. And I did have the chance to go out and take some real world pictures yesterday for a brief amount of time here in Miami. The light was meh, but hey, you know, you get what you get, and
You did okay.
and we did all right.
Don't worry. It's going to be good.
So I've got those queued up in Lightroom as well. So I'll just steal the keyboard and mouse from Josh.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do is we'll do some live shooting with all the different lenses. We're going to take a look at Josh's tests with lots of exciting targets and testing bokeh and
Super
glare and all that.
Yes.
And then I'll show you some real world results with the APO 35M.
I think the first thing that I want to do is talk with you, David, or have you talk to the viewers about what is an APO, what is the benefit of APO? Because we've seen this before with the 50 APO and the APO SLs and all the other things.
Yeah.
So before we get into the specific lens itself, talk to them a little bit about what that means and why we want.
Well, we want all the good things.
We do.
We want the best things. So typically, I think without getting even too technical, I think most people understand when they see an APO lens, specifically a Leica APO lens, that this is going to be, you know, the highest performance tier that they offer. You don't have to know anything more than that. If that's the, you know, you're super non-techie and you just say, well, what is good about this? It's like, okay, you see the letters APO on any Leica lens, you're like, okay, well, that's going to be better than most everything else that's not APO. Let's dive a little deeper, though. So what APO stands for is apochromatic, or more precisely, apochromatically corrected. Makes so much more sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I totally get it now.
Yeah.
Moving on. No.
Okay.
Keep going.
So I think we just have to describe light for a second. And light is...
Real abstract now. like it.
All right. Buckle up for physics here, guys. So light is both photons, which are particles, but they're also waves. So we're going to talk about the waveform of light.
Okay.
Okay, and I think everyone gets this, right? We've got red, green, and blue wavelengths. But they move at different speeds. So we've got, you know, red waves, green waves, blue waves, and they all move at different wavelengths, which is the separation between the peaks. And then amplitude is how much brightness we have at each channel. So the issue with, especially with digital cameras, sometimes with film, but certainly with digital cameras, is there is a very definitive sensor plane. And those pixels have a hard surface. You either hit that pixel or you don't. And what can happen is if those wavelengths are moving at different, let's say they hit different points on the focus point, on the focal plane, they can be out of phase with the other ones. So what that looks like is going to be what we call chromatic aberration, or purple fringing is a form of that. And that's because the red and the blue light are out of phase with the green light. Okay, does everyone with me so far? I don't know. Chime up in the comments if I'm like losing everybody here.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
I feel like a visual aid would have been better here.
Probably,
but
that's
basically, okay. the different colors of light are hitting a different point of focus on the sensor. So in an apochromatically corrected lens, all those different wavelengths, or colors, I should say, the colors of light, to make it simple, are hitting the focus plane at the same spot. So they're phase corrected. Does that kind of clarify a little bit? And we need special kind of glass to do that, a special kind of optics, whether it's high refractive lenses or what you sometimes see, you know, lenses with partial anomalous dispersion, spheric elements, all function to align the colors together so that they're all hitting at the same point and the same focus point at the same depth. Okay, because we're talking about microns. We're not talking about millimeters here.
I'm waiting for some physicist in the comments.
I know, they're like, you are totally wrong.
We're not trying to act as the authority on opticals design here. I think what David's trying to get at is it's about getting the most out of the light that hits the sensor.
Well, all
that's
the colors,
the objective.
Getting the colors to align.
Right.
I think is the most
important. But that's the objective of the harder. It's very hard to have all the wavelengths of light hit the exact same spot on the sensor.
Yes.
So that's what all this is all about, is different types of glass, shapes of glass, chemical mixtures to make the lens more efficient effectively. So I'm sure someone will correct us about something, which is fine. We're having a good time. And we hopefully that makes sense.
Did I lose everybody, or was still here? Remember I started off and said, if you see the letters APO, it's the best that Leica makes.
So if the 50 APO, the APO-Summicron-M 50 millimeter, which is on the M10R at the moment, it was really the first, not the first Apple lens by any means, but the first APO-Summicron that Leica made where they said, we are just going to make this the best lens we can possibly make with the fewest amount of compromises possible. And the 35 APO follows the same concept.
Well, I think a lot of people have, let's say there's some confusion around the 50 f2 APO. And now, obviously, this is not an episode on the 50, but I think it's a worthwhile path to revisit, because Leica does make a 35 f1.4. The 35 APO that we're talking about is an f2. And so many people are kind of trained into this mindset of faster lenses are pro and they're better always, right? A 1.4 lens is always better than an f2 or a 2.8 lens. Now, what do you say to that?
I say no. I say if you look at the Noctilux, that's not sharper than a 50 f2. So it's not.
Look at the last episode.
So if you watched any of these shows about M lenses or any of the stuff we've talked about, you'll understand, or hopefully understand, it's not about maximum aperture in terms of performance. In the world of Leica, the lens's maximum aperture is not a definitive indicator of it being the best in that focal length lineup.
Exactly.
So
let's revisit the 50 just for a second.
Yes.
Okay, so now the 50 APO, and I think there's a lot of parallels here, because one, when it came out, it's a 50 millimeter f2 APO-Summicron. Summicron means f2. There is also a regular non-APO 50 Summicron in the lineup, is there not?
Yeah, of course.
And so it didn't replace it.
Correct.
Okay, it's also. And there's also a 51.4 Summilux-spheric, which is a great lens. We covered it last episode. But the f2 is better, right?
The
50
APO is better optically than the 51.4. So even though the 1.4 is a faster aperture, it is not optically superior. So
And price-wise.
that's
what are we looking
true.
at?
The 50 APO is something like almost 9,000, and the 51.4 is 40 something hundred. So it's almost double,
yeah.
or more than double the price.
So I think this is a very similar scenario, and I think that could help people understand, because we've got a 35 1.4, we've got a 35 f2. These are existing current lenses in the lineup,
yes,
and Leica is introducing a 35 f2 APO.
yes. So what we're gonna do now is sort of like a in-show unboxing video, but not as lengthy as some of David's standalone unboxing videos. Let me make a little bit of room here for
I feel like
us.
this is like we're pretty much giving you all the things.
Yeah, because this is a new lens, I do want to show everybody. You can just put that up front
Yep,
there.
I'll hold
I didn't clear out the space ahead of time.
That's all right. Yeah, and it's definitely clearer over there. So
Yeah, so this is...
let's get a close
Let's
up.
get the close-up going here.
Nice. It's gonna be very close.
I can already see people correcting you, David, so...
What's that?
your physics lesson. That's okay. I'm putting in a disclaimer that it's not... that's okay. Anyway, this is the 35 APO-Summicron-M. And in addition to the quick unboxing, I'm also going to give you guys a couple little bit of... It's like reference points about what you're looking at. So here we've got the tan outer box. This is what Leica ships their lenses in. You'll see here we've got the 5-digit Leica product code for the lens, which is 11699. This is really the identifying metric, so you know what lens is inside. Here you've got the serial number. Now you'll notice, for reasons I don't know necessarily, that on the box they have a 0 in front. On the lens, it's not engraved with the 0. So the serial number of this lens is 480-1677. You'll also see that there is a production date on the box as well. This lens was made February 3rd, 2021. So some cool information there. Now, if we open this up, I'm going to turn this back here. We can take the actual lens box out, which is here. There's our APO. So unlike the 50 APO, which comes in a big old presentation box situation, this is a much smaller box. This is like the traditional M lens box that you see. And again, we see that product code 11699. We see the lens designation here. It's black anodized. There's a little picture of it. And on the side, we see the same information as you saw on the box. So I'm gonna open this up. First thing we've got is our paperwork. That's gonna be a instruction booklet, or I guess they call it general information now, okay?
Perfect.
Your guarantee card, which is like your warranty, and your test certificate, I'm not even going to try. It means test certificate. Basically just saying that, it's signed by the person who tested the lens. Here's a little tip for everyone who's watching this. If you go into the... Let's see if they have it on this one. Oh, they may not. This is not actually an instruction book. Fascinating. Normally, in the M lens instruction booklets, if you look at the end, they list all of the replacement parts that go with the lens. I can see this one doesn't have it. I should have checked ahead of time. So unfortunately not in this one, but normally in these little booklets, if you look in the back, it tells you like the product codes for the hoods and the caps and the cases and all that stuff. So
I think you're just going to have to tell everyone.
Yeah, so then we have the foam insert that comes out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there's the case. Kind of hard to show, but there it is. Okay. Now we're on to the good stuff. Let me just put this.
Oh yeah, we're cooking now. We're cooking now. Here, I'm going to take that away
I'll
from you.
put this in here. All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so a standard Leica lens case, blah, blah, blah. Open it up. Here's the lens itself, which we'll get to in a second. Now, one of the most missed aspects of a lot of Leica lenses is that there's more in here than just the lens. If we take out this little foam donut, you'll see there's actually, if I can catch the light, a lens ring. This is what you would use to put on the lens if you were not using the hood. So if you were doing a lot of like polarization or using a filter adapter or anything that necessitated not having the hood attached, you would use the ring instead. We're not going to need that now, so I'll put it back. Then of course we've got the lens itself. Here we go.
Oh, there it is.
Now here is the I know it's not in focus. I was like, can we just focus closer? Is that possible? So I can show them the lens a little better. Do you have the technology for that? Yes, thank you. Okay.
Perfect.
Here is the 35 APO-Summicron-M. One quick thing you'll notice is the lens cap on here is actually the same aluminum black anodized metal cap that comes with the 35 Summilux Lights Wetzlar edition. I featured this cap on a previous episode, and we've sold them by the truckload because they're super, super nice. And it actually is the standard cap on the 35 APO M. So quick little thing there. Now we've got the very unique lens hood design. Love it or hate it. You can see David has already nicked it. He had this lens out for one day, and he already nicked the lens hood. Unbelievable.
What are you talking about? You just unboxed that.
Oh, right. So here is the lens itself. As you can see, it's quite small. I can remove the hood. The hood itself is pretty small, not like the hood on the 35 Summicron non-APO, which is huge. The lens without the hood, really, take the back cap off, is pretty small. David pointed out to me,
look at that.
the rear is different. This area is like all sealed here, and there's additional baffling here. He'll grab me the, you can really see the difference now. This is the 35 APO here, and the non-APO Summicron. Look at the difference. There's all this like extra baffling material here, which is pretty cool. It looks very premium. And 6-bit coated, of course. Now you can see you've got your, I'm going to turn it here, standard focusing scale, and like we see with the infinity. And then if we turn it a little bit, we have the close focusing scale, which goes all the way around to 0.3 meters, which of course we'll show. And basically, you just keep turning and turning and turning. You get to a bit of a resistance point.
We'll show them from the top. So you can, like from camera view. Here, why don't you put it on the camera?
Oh, yeah, probably a good idea.
Throw it on the body in that way.
This is easier. Then I can actually see what's going on. Okay.
Exactly.
Putting it on an M10R. Okay, so I'm focusing normally. And when I get to 0.7 meters, I feel a little bit of resistance. This is very similar to what you feel on the Q or the Q2 when you're going to engage or disengage the autofocus mode on the lens. So you have a bit of a detent, and then you push past, and now you can focus all the way to 0.3 meters. And you'll notice that the small, it's really very easy to use. The focus feel is extremely smooth, as you would expect from a modern lens. It's not loose. Aperture ring is nice. I mean, overall, just a nice, easy lens to use. I'm going to put the hood back on because I just think that's how it's going to be used by most people. You can see what it looks like with the hood on. There we go. Pretty small. Looks really good. I like the design. It's like very efficient. Not a lot of wasted space. Oh, I forgot to talk about the cancer reproduction warning on the box. That's right. There's a sticker on there. I don't know why that's on there. It's not, as far as I know, there's nothing radioactive in this lens. Anyway, so that was the quick unboxing and overview.
No, it's great.
Of the lens. Any questions about that before?
Also, the shape of the hood is really kind of interesting if you look at it from the front. So,
yeah, it has like that. It has like a weird baffling to it. I don't know. I'm sure it has a function.
To block light.
Yeah, flare resistance. It's, I don't know. It's definitely different than any lens I've seen in the M lineup. I wonder if the 35 one, if the regular hood works. No, because that's an E4. No, give me the hood from the regular Summicron. That one, yeah. I don't know if this one fits. Here we go. World first right here. We're going to see if this hood fits. It does not. It's a little bit too small.
Does not.
What about the 35 Lux hood? Let's see.
Well, that's 46. So
I know, but it's I wonder if it's going to fit.
I don't think
dropping stuff. No, it's actually also too small.
Weird.
So, yeah, so the front diameter of this lens is actually a little bit larger. Or at least in terms of where the filter threads are, where they sit. It's pretty close to the 35-1.4. So anyway, that is an unboxing and overview of 35 APO M. Pretty nice. Cool. Now, what are people going to ask us, David? What are the burning questions everybody wants to know the answer?
I don't know. What are the burning questions we have?
Well, I think the questions inevitably are, how does it...
I predicted that one.
What? Which one?
The last one.
I wish they would make it in silver chrome. I mean,
maybe they will.
We don't know, but if you look at the 50 APO, they had the black version, and then I think 3 years later, if my memory serves, came out with the silver anodized version. It wasn't silver chrome; it was still aluminum.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't expect anytime soon a silver one to come out if we follow that trend. But as we've said about 8 billion times, we don't really know.
Look, anything is possible. I had a few comments over the last, I don't know, week or two. So I think we should just get this out of the way too.
Yeah.
In our 35mm M lens episode 8 months ago, and I think it was in response to a question where someone said, are they going to come out with a Noctilux 35? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'd love to see a 35 APO-Summicron.
We called it.
Well, yeah.
We didn't know.
We didn't know.
Obviously.
I just said what I would like to see. Obviously, you know what happened? So Leica must have seen that, and then
it was our idea.
Right,
Yeah.
it only took them 8 months, and they developed it.
Record time.
Record time.
Now,
That's not what happened.
now there will be questions about 35s we don't have on the table. We do have an entire episode about 35mm M lenses, which covers every single one except for the APO because it didn't exist.
Correct.
So if you want to know how the version 4 compares to the version 5 and the version 1 and all that, watch that episode. It's over 2 hours of us talking about 35mm M lenses.
It is. It's a good episode.
It's one of my favorite episodes. So anyway.
Because we had every single 35 on the table.
Right. So David, which we don't have today because we've narrowed our focus to the 35s that we believe are relevant and current or recently discontinued.
Modern.
In terms of how we did the comparison. So what are we going to be comparing the APO 35M to today?
So we're going to take a look. I think what's most interesting is going to be primarily M lenses. So we're going to look at the 35 Summicron f2 aspheric.
The current version, version 6.
Version.
Yeah.
So that is going to be, and there actually is, again, look at our 35 episode, but there's 2 recent versions of that aspheric design. One was slightly revamped a few years ago.
Yeah, like 2014, 15,
Yeah.
something like that, yeah.
They're very, very similar. You can tell them apart by the hood. One is a screw-on shade, and the other is a snap-on shade. Okay, so we're going to compare it against that because it's the closest lens. We have the same aperture, the same focal length, roughly the same physical size.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see where this lens matches up. And then, very interesting to both Josh and myself is everyone keeps asking what our favorite M lens is, and it's generally this one, which is the 35 Summilux-M 1.4 aspheric.
The FLE.
FLE.
Yes, FLE.
Okay, FLE stands for floating lens element, and we do love that. The I should say that the 35 APO is also a floating lens element design. It's just we don't specify FLE because this came in a previous version that was non-FLE.
Yes.
Just to clarify. And actually, this was we weren't going to do this until yesterday, and I got a question over email.
That was Rod. Thank you, Rod, for asking.
So thanks. We are including the 35 f2.4 Summarit-M.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. Because he said, hey, it would be cool to see how that compares because it's kind of a sleeper, underrated lens, which we agree. And
of course, soon you'll find out why it's only $2,000.
But in fact, in the description below, I have a link to our ongoing petition to bring back the Summarit lenses.
So you should
which
click on
I think we have like 800 signatures. So
we have 500 signatures.
No, it's
Is it 800?
It's a lot.
I mean,
It's
people
a
bought
lot.
this lens back. All right.
Maybe it's 500.
And there's one more lens we're going to compare it against, which is...
And there is. We're going to compare it against this, which is not an M lens. It's a 35mm APO-Summicron-SL. So this is the equivalent in the native SL mount, in an L mount equivalent to the M lens. And we're going to see how do the 2 APO lenses compare to each other when we put it on the same camera.
Yes.
Because that's going to be really interesting to see. We already know this has been out for a while, and it's just exceptionally good. I mean, this lens is staggeringly good. So we got to see how the M lens compares, especially given, and I think we can talk when we're comparing it, also the physical differences, because there's more to it than just absolute optical performance, right?
Yes. Yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
whole use case.
Yes. So we should we start with the live shooting or should we start with the Lightroom examples? I don't know. I haven't thought about this. What do you guys? Yes, there is a petition. Is it in the link? Is that in the description to bring back the Summarits? Sign it, and we'll eventually. I think when we get to like maybe 1,000 signatures, we'll submit it to Leica.
And they'll be like, "Look, there's 1,000 people who will give you money."
Yeah, well, you gotta put your money where your mouth is now. Anyway, so why don't we fire up the live view because that's kind of the most
Yeah, it's fun.
We'll show.
Oh, I gotta fix my little bear hat here.
Oh, your bear hat. Oh no. Okay, fix your bear hat.
Well, because sorry.
Let me look at the questions here. Black. Oh, someone wants a black paint 35 APO-Summicron.
Oh
okay.
my gosh.
Okay. I don't know what they're gonna do next, but I can't imagine. Maybe a special edition.
Okay.
And I want black chrome, and I want silver chrome, and I want titanium.
Take your
and
keyboard back.
I want a red one. You know, I want all of these things.
All the things. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna fire up our SL,
Moving some stuff.
and we brought back our lights Stife Bear.
All right, can we get the, well, what do we start? Well, let's not start with that.
No,
I want to start with the Summarit, because that is, we're going to go like,
least expensive.
least expensive to most expensive. There we go. That's what we'll do.
That is a macro adapter.
Doing a little swappy swaps. Yeah, there you go. Table full of 35s. Okay, I want to take away the things that we don't need. This next, then this, then this.
Okay, we're ready to go.
All right, so we tweaked our setup a little bit, and let's see.
A little bit. Apologize in advance. It's orders of magnitude more difficult to set up a test subject for 35 than it is for 50 because photography. The background has to be, I think actually the background is about 4 times larger.
Profile there.
Yep. Okay. Why isn't the autofocus working? Okay. So here we go.
Can we switch to
live view? And it is interesting on the Summarit. Just the focus throw is very, very rapid. I'll zoom out. Sorry to blind everybody. But it's very, very rapid and pretty easy to focus this.
Yeah, the Summarit has an extremely quick focus throw. Too quick for some people.
Yeah.
Good for going from minimum to infinity very quickly, that's for sure. So here we have the Summarit wide open on the SL2.
Let's go for the eyeball there.
Yeah. Pretty sharp. I don't really have any issues
That's
with
wide
that.
open. That's easy. That's
good.
I mean, compared to our Noctilux episode.
Yeah, well, this I will preface this by saying none of these things are going to be as dramatic as the Noctilux because there's so much more inherent depth of field with a 35mm lens than there is with a 50, combined with the fact that those are all F1s are faster.
Yeah, definitely.
1.2. How do the crayons look?
Oh, let's.
We didn't have the crayon. We tried to get the crayons last time.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Where did the crayons go?" So now we that is
too much. There we go.
Well, that is exposure. There we go.
You doing good
Sorry.
there?
There we go.
Okay.
So I mean,
a little behind the plane of focus.
Yeah. So that would be in the plane of focus right there.
So 35 Summarit is small and light and sharp in the center. It's pretty non-offensive, and they're inexpensive relatively, right, for an M lens. Certainly, it's less expensive than any of the other lenses on this table right now.
Yeah. So let's do a couple shots.
Yeah.
I'll shoot wide open at 2.4, which is where we're at. And again, I'm going to go back. Should we use the bear or the crayons?
Use the bear.
Use the bear. We got to give this bear a name. How about Ernst?
Ernst
I think Ernst is a good name. Okay, so Ernst the bear. Here we go. We're going to switch to 2-second self-timer. Okay. 2-second self-timer, so we don't have any.
No elbows on the table.
Josh isn't allowed to touch the table. And, okay.
Here we go.
Now we're going to stop down to 2.8. Fire again. And we're going to go to F4. And 5.6.
That's probably good.
Yeah.
No, it means this F8 is not.
No.
Okay, so let's take a look.
So let's do a little playback here. Okay. Yep, that is actual real photos. Okay, I'm using the same memory card, guys. All right, so let's zoom in. And that is, I mean, that's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
That's wide open. That's great performance in the center. And I know it's a 35, and we're not really looking at bokeh per se, but
yeah. You know, not a lot of bokeh happening here. The are very clearly defined. This is not a bokeh lens. This is a lens for a different purpose. There's nothing to me that's terribly exciting. The focus fall off isn't super pleasing on this lens. It's a good lens for the money, and I like the Summarits a lot because they're small and they're light. These are great on an M240, on an M10. I probably wouldn't use it on an SL2. We're doing this obviously because we have the HDMI out, but it's for the money. This lens really does a good job. I
All right.
mean, absolutely.
So let's move on to the next photo. Okay, so that is 2.8, and you can see there it sharpened up a bit. And I'm going to move on to f4. Okay, so now that's f4, and you can definitely see the contrast improved a little bit, not a lot, but mainly we're just gaining depth of field.
Yeah, we wanted to have something in the corner, Alan, but it's like this setup
Near
is
impossible.
But that way, when you see my test images, I have corner sharpness.
Yeah.
So you don't worry. I'm gonna show it.
So yeah, here at f4, we're actually able to have enough depth of field because it is a 35 and not a 50. That's one of the nice things about a 35 is that you at f4, even though this wasn't even in the same plane of focus, obviously, we're getting pretty sharp result there. So let me go now to 5.6, and it's even better. So we've got plenty of sharpness in that crayon box, and I mean, just really sharp in old Ernst there. So
All right, let's pop on the
not bad at all.
Let's pop on the Summicron non-APO
Okay.
real quick.
I don't know if everyone wants to see the flash frame here, but whatever.
It's okay.
Okay, so we're going to
So
the
this is the non-APO, non-aspheric, non-FLE. This lens right here.
it's the non
everything. All right, so next we are using the 11673. That's the Summicron non-APO, the version 6, if you want to call it. Let's see how that looks. Make sure you do your profile.
Yep, I've got my profile selected. Gonna magnify and enhance here. And definitely, I mean, the first thing I notice is also just how much more nuance there is in the focusing versus the Summarit. I mean, not to knock the Summarit, but I'd definitely say, especially this version 6, the revised Summicron here, it's just mechanically is beautiful to operate. You can feel the aperture design, the aperture ring, and the focusing is definitely superior for the Summarit.
You might as well grab a couple shots and then we'll show the playback.
Yeah, so I'm gonna focus.
How much does it weigh? I can tell you that.
Okay,
really.
hands off the table. Hands off the table.
While David's shooting the pictures. I actually weighed all of the lenses we have with and without their lens hood, so I got the real weights. The 35 APO M with the hood is 308 grams. Without the hood, 297 grams. That's actually just a little bit lighter than the FLE, which is 316 grams with the hood. So it's just a little lighter than the FLE. The version 6 is 270 grams. So it's a little heavier than the version 6 by about 40 grams. So pretty nominal differences. Really, the only 35 that's significantly lighter is the Summarit, which is 207 grams. I wrote this all down. And then, of course, the APO SL, which is 744. So it's totally opposite.
All right, so now I've got the playback here.
Okay.
And we're starting at f2.
Stan, if you want to know the difference between version 6 and 5, watch the 35 episode.
Yeah.
We talk about it, and along with everything else. So it's worth the watch for sure.
Okay, so this is at f2. And I think, right off the bat, you can definitely tell it's a little nicer fall off. Again, it's a 35 that's not...
We're getting a more pleasurable bokeh here. It's still not a game changer. This is also not a bokeh lens, although definitely more character than we saw with the Summarit.
Yeah, let's take a look at the flowers behind here.
Yeah,
I mean, it can be a little squirrely.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. It's better than the Summarit.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's move forward. So that is f2. That's 2.8, and definitely it sharpened up a little bit there.
Of course, yeah.
And let's go to f4, same thing, at 5.6. So I'm going to go down to the crayons one more time here. Yeah, I mean, there is nothing to complain about there. I mean, that is nice and crisp. And something I've always liked about the Summicron is that it really has a lot of, kind of punchy color, good contrast. That's something I've always loved about the Cron. So
let's pop on the FLE.
Okay,
this is the most fun of all the ones on the table, in my humble opinion. There we go. All right, so next we are trying the Summilux-M f1.4.
One of our favorites.
A lens we extol the virtues of frequently, too frequently perhaps.
Okay.
There we go. Ooh, lovely.
Hold on, I got to select it. It is the 11870.
Middle one, yep. There you go.
11663.
That is it. There we go. I love that it's like coming out into out of that. That's
so you
cool.
can definitely see, because something else to note is we're not at minimum focus on these. We're actually at about 1 meter, just to kind of level the playing field a little bit. This lens, especially the Summilux at 0.7 meters, you can see how much better the out of focus areas are and how much nicer that bokeh is.
Yeah, let's get the center sharpness
Which
going.
maybe we should move this forward to kind of show that off.
I'm going to show. I have plenty of bokeh testing to show.
Okay,
Don't worry.
okay.
Don't worry. Let's not mess anything up. It already took us the whole afternoon to get this far. So.
Oh, it's easier if I move it closer.
Oh no! Don't start with me. There
And I can get this away from my face.
All right, so you can see now how little depth of field we're working with. They're at 1.4, right?
I am.
Yeah,
I am.
I mean, there's very little tolerance for a missed focus here.
And look at the difference.
Yeah.
Like the nose is in focus and those eyes are way out of focus now.
Yeah, this is really a bokeh lens. Now, if you look, well, let's take a shot.
Yeah, so let's do the whole sequence. So this is, let's stop shaking the table.
Yep.
Okay, so this is 1.4.
Here we go.
Okay, we're going to go to F2. 2.8.
Very exciting.
Oh yeah, this is like
just riveting television right here. I mean, look, this is you can't ask us how they compare and then not expect us to show you how they compare. So you know what? I don't want to hear it.
Okay, so this was 5.6, 4, 2.8, 2, 1.4.
All right, now go right to the lights in the background at 1.4 because I really want to show this. Here we go. Now we're really starting to get
It's a bokeh lens.
to a bokeh lens where you've got the beautiful soft edges, nice circles. Like the shapes are not as clearly defined, very, very, very pleasant, and a very fast focus fall off, which is hard to do on a 35. I mean, look how out of focus those flowers are.
Beautiful.
If you could see the scene in real life, the flowers are probably 6 inches
So
from the
close.
bear's eyeball. I mean, not far away at all. Yeah, this is very pleasant.
All right, and then let's go through and take a look at sharpness. I mean, it is very, very sharp, wide open in the middle.
Oh yeah.
So let's go to F2. That's at F2, and we picked up a noticeable increase in contrast there. 2.8, 4, and 5.6. And I mean, to my eyes, this probably is the sharpest of all the ones that we've tested so far, even if we're just looking at 5.6 where we have depth of field everywhere. And I can, look at crayons look amazing there. We've got just great highlights, colors, tones, sharpness across the board.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go.
But there's a reason we like this lens.
Yeah,
because it looks really nice, wide open.
Yeah, look at that.
And then you can stop it down and the performance is superb.
It is. And let's take, and actually by 5.6, we're starting to get some stars, which is kind of nice too.
Nice.
So all in all, there's lots of stars. I feel like it's a 2001 obscure reference there. Okay.
Well, let's go to the APO.
So I would say, all in all, the so far, the 35 Summilux definitely is the front runner right
Let's
now.
not make them wait. Put the APO on there, man. Let's do it.
We gotta let them sweat a little bit.
No sweating.
And now
involved.
commercial break now. Okay, here we go.
Sponsored now.
Okay, we are taking off the Summilux. Do we need like a drum roll or something?
Putting on the APO-35 Summicron-M.
I feel like it is a little denser.
It's slightly heavier. It's a little bit lighter than the FLE, but it's smaller, so it does feel denser. It's just like a nice little ingot.
Ingot. That's a good word.
It's a good ingot. You got to do that. Just put a. So there's no lens profile yet in the SL2 for this lens. There will be, I'm sure, at some point. But we're just going to use the regular 35 Summicron spheric, which is
this one.
close enough.
That one. Okay, it's close enough, but
Yay.
it probably will be a little bit better, especially on the SL2, where there's some built-in magic happening. And oh, look at that. Oh, see, that's a trick. That is something we couldn't do with the other lenses, is it?
Why, is that minimum?
That's minimum. Now look at that bokeh.
Yeah.
That's
This is not a bokeh lens either, though. So just be aware of that.
But it
Why
can
don't you focus it, please? Nobody wants to see how the focus bears. There we go. Thank you.
well, I mean, you can tell how high contrast it is. Even without magnifying, you can really see when those eyes pop into focus.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, little spoiler alert, I found that when I was out shooting, I found the exact same thing. When focusing with live view, this lens snaps into focus I mean, so easily because you really see when it's sharp.
Yeah.
Okay, let's magnify. That is not at all the bear's face. There we go. And
We'll dial the focus in. There we go. That is obviously the sharpest we've seen yet. Crazy sharp.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So again, notice the depth of field is almost, sorry, that was my hand. Notice the depth of field is almost similar to the Summilux. And I think, you know, when we're talking about this lens, Leica famously says that because the performance at the point of focus is so highly resolving, the fall off, the apparent fall off is actually greater than what the aperture might suggest.
True, although it's the 35 lux is still the king
Yeah.
of focus fall off in the 35 realm. Tony is asking about the 23 Summicron TL. I thought about that, but because it's just such a different space, such a different price point, it's not full frame. I like that you're asking me that, and I one day might try to compare, but not today. It just was a little bit more than I could work into all the testing that I was doing.
All right. So let's do our test sequence here. So we got
Yes.
f2.
One of the nice things about modern lenses, unlike last week or 2 weeks ago with the Noctilux episode, is there's no more focus shift.
No.
You know, when you're doing these kind of tests and you're stopping down between wide open and 1 or 2 stops down, with an older lens, you've got to refocus each time if you really want to nail it because you have focus shift. Never an issue with any of these lenses, which was really, really nice when I was doing my testing.
For sure. Okay, so this is 5.6, f4, 2.8, and f2. Let's.
Now you can already see that it doesn't have the same magic that the 1.4 has.
But it's much better behaved than the other.
Yeah, it's very clean. It's very circular, but it's not the same softness on the edges. It's not the same fall off. This is a lens that's about uncompromising performance and nothing else, in my opinion. At least from my
It doesn't do a bad job in the bokeh department either.
Yeah, no, it's very smooth and very modern.
Yeah, look at that near fall off. Like, it's much more gradual transition than the Summarit or the Summicron.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
For sure.
It's a nice blend between the Lux performance.
Yeah, it's definitely smoother with less jittery on those high frequency details.
Yeah.
Okay, now
so good.
That's wide open. That's 2.8. That's f4. That's 5.6. And
there's really no performance differences in the center.
No.
You really, just like with their other flagship lenses, you're only stopping down to gain depth of field. You're not really improving performance very much.
I think I actually see greater detail in that little crayon dude's sunglasses, where it's like you can actually see the printing detail.
You will, because this lens
it's higher power.
Well, first, when we go to the next one.
That's pretty amazing right there.
Yeah.
And let's take a look. Obviously, you would expect that the silvery surfaces are going to be perfect. Since it is an APO lens. And look at that, perfect black and white, no chromatic aberration as you would expect.
Yeah.
And let's see, look at that. Even nicer star patterns.
Yeah, really, really nice, actually.
Wow.
The best that we've seen yet.
And that's at 5.6. It used to be you'd have to stop down to f11 to get stars like that. That is really nice. I actually saw that in some of my real world stuff. Remember I was showing you some of the water droplet?
Yeah, we're going to see that when we show those images.
Very, very nice. So this, obviously it matches up to our previous testing because we are doing this setup here for the first time. All right, now
we put on the 35 APO SL.
Okay, so
I'm excited.
Off comes the M lens.
I'm gonna take this. The one lens we're not allowed to break because you can't get another one.
Not easily, no.
Not easily.
All right. Now, let's show this, actually, because I did say we're going to show the difference here.
Weird. Let me get the close-ups on me, I think so. Let me show.
I think this is
If we're going to talk about APOs,
blocking.
let's talk about APOs.
There we go.
Here's the 35 APO M and the 35 APO SL.
One has a hood on, too.
300 grams, 750 grams.
Wow.
There's no comparison here. I just want to give some sense of scale. Like, this just fits in my hand like that. This is not a huge lens within the SL lineup. I think I put a fingerprint on it. But this is, to me, it's just, that's what's so impressive about the M lens, is what they could do in such a small package. Dave, why don't you put it on the camera?
Yep.
And let's see what it can do. I know this is an episode about the 35 APO M, but if we're talking about as good as it gets, we got to talk about this lens.
Okay.
I turn it on.
All right. And here, obviously, we just have autofocus. So I just tap the rear button, and we should be sharp and ready to go. Do I have focus? Yes, look at that. Top front button I have programmed as focus magnification, and it is in manual focus. So if we want to dial it in, and
we probably, I don't know if it's on linear focus or not.
It doesn't feel like
probably
it is.
not. Yeah,
that's okay.
It's okay. We can make it work. I mean, this. I mean, I guess I should just say it now.
No, don't say it yet. All right, so we're going to take our test shots. Okay. Here we go. So we're at f2. Okay. And obviously, I don't have to change the aperture on the lens. I'm changing it on the top of the camera. It's at 2.8. And f4. And 5.6 will be our last one. Okay. Now let us play back and see the goods. F4, 2.8, 2. Is that right?
I don't know. You took these pictures.
All right.
No,
that's not at all that. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Ready? 5.6, F4, 2.8, F2. There we go. All right. And we're going to zoom in. Magnify and enhance. And depth of field is extremely shallow here. As we were talking about, it gives you that impression of, you know, wider aperture than an f2 in terms of depth of field or apparent depth of field. And now we're going to jump to 2.8, which is razor sharp, f4, and 5.6. So really what we've done is just increase depth of field tremendously. But look at the fur detail on that.
Show the crayons.
Is insane.
Or some people, what do some people say? Crayons? I've heard some weird people, like weird ways to say crayons before. I don't know. Cranes. There we go.
That's pretty good.
Oh, look at that.
Pretty good. And I can go.
There you go.
But that's actually, I think, 200%.
You can see the dust on the crayon tips there.
Yeah. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's see. We're going to go. Now, there is kind of a little bit of that star pattern, but not quite as nice, actually.
Mike, you got to stop. Yeah. I'm just addressing Mike's question. You have to stop eating powdered donuts before you go out and photograph. Then you won't have that powdery coating on your SL lens ring.
Wow, look at that. Look at the matte texture of the cup.
Oh, so good.
Where you can actually see, I don't know, you can see a lot of detail here, obviously. So this right here, and I'm going to go back. So that's 5.6, 4, 2.8, 2. I just want to take a look at the lights here.
Joe, we showed the 35 Summicron-S That was 2 lenses ago.
Yep.
All
right.
I would say rewind, but don't rewind. Wait till we're done, and then rewind.
So looking at our little bokeh balls there, I'll bring that back one more second, Jose.
There we go.
I would probably say that I think the M lens is a little bit more pleasing.
Yeah.
A little bit rounder,
yeah.
Less football-y. And I think the reason for that is really simple.
On which one?
Because what the difference that we're seeing, because of the length of the lens barrel, the light doesn't have to be manipulated as much to get into the camera as it does on a. Where's the lens? You hid it from me.
I did on purpose.
The light has a lot less travel inside the barrel than it does here. So that is my educated guess as to why the bokeh is smoother on the M lens. Okay.
So that's kind of some real world stuff. And what I think you can see here is that every modern 35 is pretty darn good in the center.
They're amazing.
And you've got options to choose from with regard to how you want your bokeh to be. Which one do you want?
I'm going to, the APO.
You want to keep it on there? Or?
Well, I want to show.
What are you showing?
How we can focus closer. You can keep talking.
We should talk. Well, while we're talking about comparisons, I want to show the Lightroom stuff.
Okay, yeah, let's do that, and then we'll demonstrate the new ability.
Yeah, because we're about to.
I need the M adapter as well.
You do.
I do.
Here you go.
Thank you.
So, in addition to this sort of informal live view testing that we're showing you, I did some really thorough testing today, pretty much all afternoon, to get a very clear sense of how these lenses kind of stack up with each other with regard to center sharpness, corner sharpness and real world bokeh. So I'm going to show, let's see here, some of these. Let me just, don't, give me a second, Jose, here. There we go. Okay, I'm ready for
your not close up.
There we go. So, if we turn sharpness, there we go. So what I did was this, our back closet here, our elevator equipment room, proved to be a pretty good place for testing because it was not affected by natural light. It's a flat surface. I could make sure everything was level. So I shot each lens with my super awesome Post-it notes, just like I did for the last test. So you can sort of see, I put the 5-digit product code. And what I want to talk about first is wide open performance. So let me just show only the wide open ones here. Here we go. So if we start to play around a little bit, we've got the 35 APO. Let me just make this a little smaller. Here we go. We got the 35 APO SL coming up first. Then we go to, oops, the 3514, and you can already see, hopefully you can see, performance difference. We're not talking about a small difference here. I mean, the SL lens is unbelievable. Then we go to the, I don't know why they're coming up in that corner there, 35 Summicron-Aspheric version 6. Probably a little bit softer than the 1.4, very close.
Why don't you pop up a comparison view?
Yeah, let me do that. Well,
Let's
let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the good stuff. The number one question is, how does the new 35 APO compare to the FLE? Let's just cut to the chase here.
You're just going right for it, aren't you?
Yeah, the good stuff. All right, so on, oops, I'm breaking stuff. FLE, APO. Here we go. Right. So on the left, we've got the 35 Summilux floating lens element, FLE. On the right, we've got the 35 APO M. This is both wide open. If we zoom in to the center and let it render, you can see a significant amount. Can you see my cursor? Yes.
Yeah.
A significant amount more detail, even in the center where these lenses are supposed to be the best. This goes to show you just how good this 35 APO is. Now, you think that's impressive. As I start getting off center, look at the differences here.
Wow, look at the tape.
Yeah, you look at the tape. Look at the equipment room sign. I mean,
whoa.
The focus fall off on the 35-1.4, which is this, that's how it's designed, is extremely rapid. Not just front to back, but also side to side, which is great for subject isolation and great for getting that Leica look all the time. So now, if I go to the corner, the differences become really apparent. This is, you see, it's also darker because there's more vignetting and considerably less detail versus the APO.
Well, a lot less contrast as well. Look at the, I mean, just the colors don't pop as much.
Yeah, look at the colors here. I mean, this is a dramatic difference. Now, this is, again, to really get into the core of what these two lenses are designed to do. One lens designed for uncompromising performance from corner to corner, landscape, architecture, interior, art reproduction, and another lens designed for the Leica look, the softness in the corners, the quick focus fall off, the subject isolation, and allowing you to enjoy a lens that goes to 1.4. Now,
although I think we need to be a little more fair.
Yeah. You want me to show the FLE at f2?
I do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you see that. It's not going to be that much different, actually. If we go to the FLE at f2, here we go. All right, so now, let's switch sides here.
You can flip them again.
Yeah, this one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I always forget. Okay, so I got the FLE on the left at f2, so stop down one stop. And the APO 35 Summicron-M on the right, which is wide open at f2. So let's take a look at the center. Let it render here. And we can see that the FLE is dramatically sharper
at f2.
At f2.
Yes.
Although the APO still has an edge. If you look at the text here, there's 2014 DGK text. There's still definitely more detail in the APO than there is in the FLE. And as soon as you start to get off center, the differences are still quite noticeable. Looking at the circle here, and just watch when we go to the corner. Even stop down one stop versus wide open, the APO is still superior. you have to go to about 5.6 on the FLE, I can show that, to realize or to see a similar look. Let's show you that here. So now we've got, oops.
Keep flipping.
I know, right? So I've got the FLE on the left at 5.6, and it's the 35 APO M on the right, still wide open. Now we're getting very,
Wow.
now actually the FLE has a slight edge, but only barely. If we're talking about a 1.4 lens, stop down 1, 2, 3, 4, three stops, four
Yeah.
stops versus one that's wide open. I mean, that is, to me,
Now, what happens?
insane.
What happens if we take the APO Summicron and we stop it down to 2.8 against the 5.6?
Okay, let's do that. So now we've got, again, FLE on the left at 5.6, APO on the right, stop down 1 stop to 2.8. Let's take a look at center sharpness here. APO comes out ahead. I mean, you can see it's pretty close. Dead center, it's pretty close, but the APO still has higher contrast and higher resolving power. And if you start to get off center, differences continue to be apparent. Again, more contrast. Pretty close though. I think in some
That's
areas,
interesting.
the
That's
FLE,
really interesting.
the FLE has a little more contrast in the corners here. So I would say the 35 APO still has the edge overall for detail. And again, we're not comparing the same aperture here. We're comparing two different apertures. So if I were to compare the APO at 5.6,
Oh boy.
if we're really going to be fair, both unfair, let's take a look. We already know the center is going to be sharp. I'm not going to bother that. Let's take a look here. So we've got the APO on the right, I think.
Yep.
Yes, okay. APO on the right still. Now we're in the corners. I mean, look
Oh,
at the
wow.
differences here. Look at the crispness of the line around the sort of color patches on the APO. It's got considerably higher contrast. There's just more detail there. It's not dramatic at 5.6, but it's definitely noticeable. And again, most of the time, as a Leica M shooter, I'm spending my time at or near wide open. And the 35 APO is a lens that's just designed, as I said, to give you a level of performance at every single aperture that just crushes anything else in the M line. I mean, look at the bottom left corner here. This is one of those sort of like lens tolerance types of tests, because here, the APO on the right demonstrates a higher level of detail. Look at this little test target here. So consistency from corner to corner in terms of sharpness and the linearity of the focus fall off is significantly higher on the APO than the FLE, which is, you know, a lens that David and I still love because it's still a very unique lens. And very quickly,
And you can see, I mean, stop down just a little bit to 5.6. There's nothing, let's say, there's very little to complain about with the FLE. It's still a world-class optic.
take a look at the, I don't want to spend too much time staring at test images, but I just want to show
Now, what are we looking at here?
Now we're looking at, again, APO M on the right and the APO SL on the left. So here are the two lenses. These two lenses right now represent the highest quality 35mm lenses Leica has ever made. On the left, you've got the APO-Summicron-SL. On the right, the APO-Summicron-M 35. So both 35.
Show the middle first.
If we go middle, we can see very close, but the SL lens has a very, 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 very slight edge, although it's negligible to the point where I would say it's not going to be noticeable in the real world. But if we start going out from center, go to our top right corner here, you can see how there's more detail and more sharpness in the SL lens here on the left.
You might have to go a little further to the left because they're cutting off.
Here?
Nope, the other way.
The other way.
Yeah.
Like that? Oh, I see it. Sorry, guys. So as unbelievably good as 35 APO M is, in especially considering it's a rangefinder coupled lens that's extremely small, 300 and something grams, as unbelievably good as that is, I'm reminded doing these tests that the 35 APO SL is the king. It is the highest performing 35mm lens across Leica's entire product portfolio, hands down. The test is right here. If we go to the bottom left corner, that's continuing to be obvious.
Wow.
I mean, the difference is, again, this is wide open. Unbelievable. You could use an SL 35 APO wide open for landscape with no real performance compromise. The M was a very close second. And obviously, if you have an M10R or an M10 monochrome, doesn't really matter how good the SL lens is because you can't use it.
Yeah.
And I think what this really is a testament not only to how good the SL Prime is, which is a lens that they have no real space restrictions for, it's how good that 35 APO M is, all things considered.
Yes.
But even without that, just how good it is objectively on its own.
Now let's see
Yes.
one more test before we move on.
Yeah.
Let's take a look, because some people might wonder, how does it compare of the standard Summicron versus the APO-Summicron?
Oh yeah, let's show that. Let me pop that here. So we've got 11673 at f2. Okay. So on the left, we've got the current version of the non-APO Summicron-Spheric, the version 6, 11673. These are the Leica product codes I told you about earlier. And on the right, as before, we have the 35 APO. I mean, no comparison here. The APO is unbelievably sharp in the center. F2 is, the F2 on its own, like you saw with the Bear, looks fine. But then you put it up against the 35 APO and you're like, ah. Now, I'm almost hesitant to show the corners because it's like you don't know what you're looking at until you see the relative comparison. But okay, take a look at this. Take a look at that. On the left, the 35 Summicron, which is a good lens, a great lens. A lens that's fantastic for shooting street photography, portraits, and it's compact. But
it's a standard Bearer lens.
Really, if we're talking about wide open performance, where these lenses are really going to be living most of the time, the APO-Summicron-M is, I mean,
it's a different class of lens.
It's a different class. I mean, and you're certainly paying for it. There's no doubt that there's a reason that the APO is so expensive relative to the cost of the regular Cron. I mean, just look at the detail and the contrast difference. Let's check the bottom left here. Same story in the bottom left.
Wow.
I mean, you can't even make out the lines here, whereas here, this looks better here than this does in the center, I think. So there's no doubt that the 11673, the non-APO 35 is a great lens. And it does have a very nice focus fall off, which I don't think the 35 APO has. The 35 APO is so linear, so sharp corner to corner that it really doesn't have that, which is good or bad depending on your creative objectives. But this test is just designed to show you the relative comparison between them. And again, when I see these images, and I look at all this as a whole, and we look at the difference here, this is just slightly off center. I understand why this lens is both so difficult to design, why it's priced the way it is, and why they're not flooding the market with these things, because I know they're hard to get right now. I can't imagine how difficult this must be to make.
Hard.
Let's do some questions.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
sick
take a
of
break from this.
staring at this nonsense. And then I do want to make sure we can show your images. But let me just pull up the chat. Jose, what do we got for questions?
That was a lot. Chat just moved a lot. I mean,
pardon me, I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just looking. I'm actually paying more attention to you by looking over here.
Yes, he's got a screen right there. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have one. Since APO is all about chromatic aberration, do the APO lenses have no advantage over the non-APO lenses for monochrome cameras?
I mean, you can clearly see in the test samples. Well, let me answer indirectly. Obviously, sharper. Sharper into the corners is sharper into the corners. Higher resolving is higher resolving, and especially the monochrome can really take advantage of that because it doesn't have any interpolation. You're resolving more detail than you would on a color interpolated sensor.
Yeah.
See our monochrome episodes, multiple
Yes,
for explanation on that. As far as it goes with color, though, keep in mind that your grayscale images, are still rendered with, normal optical details. So if you can align those that all wavelengths of light are hitting together, it will still be a higher contrast, sharper image for black and white, just as it would for color. Just you're not going to get chromatic aberration as a color, but you could get chromatic aberration as a halo. So this will have no haloing effects around the pixels.
There you go. So performance is performance, whether it's color or black and white. And this lens has it in
Performance.
spades. Yeah.
It just goes.
Jose, other questions for us?
Yeah, so when will you shoot the 35 FLE over the 35 APO M?
Well, that's a good question.
I've shot both now. I'm obviously much more limited here. I've shot the 35 Summilux FLE for years and years and years. That's my go-to lens. Josh too. I mean, we love this lens. It has more character to it. That there's no two ways about that. This lens is the new APO. It's perfect, and it's not bland. It's not sterile, as someone would say. It's just the 35 Lux simply has more character. It has natural more natural vignetting. It has more natural fall off. It has, especially wide open, a much more dramatic fall off from in focus to out of focus. And it's very high performing wide open in the center with a lot more fall off to the edges, as Josh showed in the test shots. And as we saw with Ernst the Bear here. And real life shooting bears that out too. I think the other place where I absolutely adore the 35 Lux is that it's kind of, I like to say it's like two lenses in one.
I'm going to pull up one more comparison while you're talking, a bokeh comparison.
It's like two lenses in one, because under soft indirect light, the Lux is very muted and painterly. Under really direct, not harsh lighting, but really strong lighting, high contrast lighting, the lens just pops. So it's able to kind of walk the line of being a really poppy, high contrast lens and also being soft and subtle. I haven't shot enough with the APO-Summicron under enough different conditions. Look, I shot for 2 hours yesterday, truth be told.
Yeah.
I don't have the years of experience yet to tell you that it's going to behave the same. But I still love the Lux.
Yeah.
I just am very enamored with the APO.
Let's
both for the sharpness and also for the close focusing, which is a whole new element that we want to get into.
We'll talk about that. I want to show one more quick Lightroom thing, which is directly related to your question. Jose, if you could switch over to that. This is actually using the M10R. This is my infamous think tank bag, which I use for all my bokeh tests. And this is the APO on the left this time and the Lux on the right, both wide open, both at about 0.85 meters, so near minimum distance, at least the standard rangefinder minimum distance. And if we look at the way the lights, there's an amorphousness to the Lux here on the right. There's a softness that you just don't get with the APO. If you look at the way the lights render on the left here, okay, good, you can see it. It's very clear, or more clearly defined shapes, more circular, a harsher edge here where the lights kind of finish. Whereas on the Lux, it's a softer fall off. It's a little more oval shaped.
It's almost like a translucency as well.
Look here, look at the way that, this is like an LED light around our sort of front counter. At the way the fall, it's just so dispersed and it's so soft. This is like a stanchion with a rope on it I just used for a shape with color in it. And
look at those edges.
It just fades away on the Lux. And the APO, it's so much more clearly defined. If you look at the detail here, obviously the APO has more detail, although this is not a sharpness test, so my focus could be a teeny bit off. But the amount of...
They're both excellent.
Yeah, you can also see you have chromatic aberration here, which you don't have. This is a great example of the benefits of an APO. Is on the right, or on the left here, you look at the rings, these little hangers. There's no green color fringing, and here on the right, you've got some. So this hopefully demonstrates that the focus fall off. I mean, look at the corner of the bag here. This is again the same distance away. So it falls off so much faster from center. And again, it's all about subject isolation, and it gets you thinking more about the shapes, colors, and lighting of your backgrounds as they become softer. More with the Lux you're thinking about than you are with the APO. So anyway, you can go back to us, Jose.
That's a good example.
Yeah, just trying to answer that question a little bit.
Go back to the chat.
Yeah, let me go back to the chat here.
I think you're still in lights out.
I got it.
I think people want to see the close focusing on the 35 APO M.
Well, let's take a look, see if there's any other burning questions first.
Yeah, let's see.
Before we jump back into the demo.
Is anyone there's a lot of questions.
Jose, have you been storing some up here?
Yeah, from Scott, there has been a lot of talk that the 50 APO and the new 35 APO are too clinical. What do you have to say about that?
I'll show you some real world images, but I don't really feel that the 50 APO, so I do have a lot of experience shooting with the 50 APO. In my personal kit, I was shooting with the 50 Summilux for a good number of years, and I actually transitioned to the 50 APO-Summicron because I'm just a sucker for optical performance. I have nothing against the Lux. I love it. I've shot with it. I'll continue to shoot with it, but the kind of that starter position goes to the 50 APO because it's usable. It's like what we're looking at here with the 35. It's usable wide open with uncompromising performance, and it still does have nice feel. It's not as magical as the 50 lux, just as the 35 APO is not as magical as the 35 lux. So I think there's a lot of parallels between the 35 Summilux and the 35 APO-Summicron, and the 50 Summilux and the 50 APO-Summicron. But to answer the question directly, no, I don't feel that either of those are too clinical or sterile or anything like that. It's just their uncompromising benchmark level performance.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking to see if there's any burning questions. I think we're doing pretty well.
Okay.
What did one thing I wanted to Oh, Mike had said, is it a fair test M lens on SL? And I would say it is fair because I did, as you probably just saw, some of the same testing on an M10R.
Yeah.
And my results were exactly the same in terms of the relative performance differences between the two. We use the SL2 for testing just because it's so much faster with the high-res EVF to dial in the precise focus. And I also knew we had to check how they compared to the SL lens, which only was going to work on the SL.
Right.
Well, or the CL, I guess. But yeah, so that was
full frame, the SL. Yeah.
So yeah, that was why we did that. But I think
Okay. Are we going to do the close thing?
yeah, we need to show close focus on the.
Oh, is my cord long enough?
Can
I
we
hope
get
it is.
closer?
Hold on. It might be.
Stand by, please.
Oh, we can get closer. Ah,
You got the app on there now?
I do.
Is it at minimum?
It's not. It's
It's gonna be closer than that, bro.
that's minimum right there.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Let me just magnify.
Oh, geez. It's gonna fall off the table.
Well, I think it's worth showing. Okay, so this right there. Jose, let's pop to the live view. So this.
Big Bear.
So what we're looking at right
Go to
now.
the full view, will you please? We can see what we're looking at.
Well, I want to make sure it's sharp.
Okay.
What we're looking at right now is 0.7 meters, which is minimum distance also. And I think we should throw the 35 lux in here just to look at the background. So I'm going to take a shot here. This is at 0.7 meters, minimum distance.
Oh, this is 0.7.
Correct, not minimum.
Oh, I was like, this seems far from 0.3.
No,
Okay.
no. We're doing 0.7.
Okay.
And I have some logic here. Okay, and I'm going to put on the 35. That is the 35 Summicron.
Are you looking for FLE?
Yep,
Yeah,
we're
there
going to
you
put
go.
on the 35 Summilux FLE because I do want to show that character we're
Sure,
talking about.
I'm all for it. Let's do it. It's like an old-timey camera right now as it's half on. There we go. Look at the profile. Second one down. There you go.
And we're going to go to minimum distance. There we go. Let's make sure that we're actually sharp. It's pretty close. Let's see here. Yeah, that right eye's sharp. And we're going to take a shot. Okay, so now I want to play those back. And what's going to be kind of interesting here is...
Let's do the full view, Jose. There we go.
Nope. I don't want to magnify. I want to advance.
You're in live view.
I am in live view. That is why we're doing that. Okay,
Yes.
we're doing great here. Right?
Amateur hour over here. Come on.
Haha. Okay.
Oh, back to the. There we go.
All right. This is the APO-Summicron-M at 0.7 meters at f2. And we want to change our label here just to keep everything clear. Okay, so this one is the APO-Summicron.
We'll just take the label away at this point because we're bouncing between the two lenses so fast.
Let's see. Feel like we're okay. There we go. So this is the APO-Summicron-M, and we're gonna zoom in here. Now this is at minimum distance, and we can obviously see
Well, this is minimum rangefinder distance.
minimum rangefinder coupled distance
Okay.
before it disengages.
Yeah.
And I do want to take a look at our out of focus bokeh balls here. So Josh, you want to give the analysis of what you see?
I mean, very clearly defined edges, but circular. Where are we in the image here? Just zoom out for a sec. Okay, we're still, I mean, we don't have a lot of the bokeh ball simulation thingies
In the
near the edge
corners,
of the
yeah.
frame just because we don't have enough light. But here, you know, it's not magical, but it's very predictable and you can easily work with this. You're not gonna have to worry about something becoming really
Crazy, yeah.
crazy looking. But you know, 11 aperture blades are helpful for that. For
Yeah,
sure.
and if we take a look here at, our just out of focus areas with high frequency detail, there's nothing objectionable there.
But I use the SL2 for my elevator room sharpness test.
Yeah. All right, now let's change the change it up, we're going to go to the Summilux. We're just changing our label, guys. Bear with us. There we go. So this is the Summilux. And I mean, right off the bat, you can see, first of all, well, you can see a little bit of chromatic aberration, just a touch. If you see that, a little bit of red there in the highlights. And it's sharp wide open. But look how fast that fall off is. And let's take a look at our lights.
There we go. Softer fall off, a little more character, a little more oval shaped. You know, this is a lens that just has more character. It's more fun for that purpose. That's not really a objective assessment, but I feel like I've done a lot of objective assessments already. So let's have some more fun.
So that's it. We're going to go back to the Summicron.
Yeah, let's go back to the main view, Jose, for a moment.
Yep.
So what David's going to hopefully show now is the party trick of the 35 APO M, which is this close focus thingy. Now, it's important to understand that the lens is rangefinder calibrated to 0.7 meters. Once you go past the D10 into the close focus range, it is no longer rangefinder calibrated, which means you need to use live view either on the screen or the VisiFlex if you have an M camera, or of course if you're on an SL2, you're always on live view. Oh boy,
that's not going to work.
It's too close. Can you move the bear closer? So you need to make sure you're using live view. You can't use the rangefinder to focus.
Pardon me.
David's gonna go make it so we can shoot closer. You cannot use the rangefinder to focus in the close focus range. Just move the wood closer.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Don't knock anything over for the love of teddy bears. So anyway, that's something important I want to mention. So if you're shooting with your rangefinder and you go past that D10, you're not gonna be able to focus. You got to activate live view, pop on the VisiFlex. Another reason this lens is nice on the SL2 because it's always live view.
Still so close. All right, one more second.
How are we doing?
We're doing okay. We're running out of table width.
Yeah, I shot the M10R with this. Its performance is so similar that it was not worth trying to show the differences between the two. In terms of like 35 APO M on the SL2 and the M10R, very, very close. Aside from the camera's performance differences, which are another story. That's another episode.
Now, you can actually see the bear in our frame now.
Oh, he's right there.
Yeah. I mean, this is very, 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 like just...
I wish you could see how close we are.
Just off camera.
I mean, it's really, really close, but...
All right. So let's see. I actually am not going to be able to see here. I'm going to have to use our studio monitor to focus. So Jose, pop up our little view here. And I think... oh, my God.
This is not zoomed in, by the way. This is... Wow, that is
No, that's full frame.
This is full frame.
That's full frame.
You're so close to the edge of the cable there, bro.
I know. I'm afraid our cable's
Something horrible is going to happen right now.
So that is...
We're already predicting it.
That is minimum focus. All right. So I'm going to go... Actually, not...
Look at that. Unbelievable. Oh, the detail on the fur.
Look at that.
It just makes me so happy to see that.
So, like Josh says, this is its little party trick.
This is incredible. This is an M lens, people. Okay, this is an M lens.
Look at that. Jeez. Okay.
And look how fast. This is wide open, right?
Yeah.
Look how fast that focus falls off. I mean, depth of field, of course, decreases as you focus.
Oh no,
closer.
that's wide open.
There we go. So you have so little. I mean, this is so exciting. I'm speechless right now.
Oh my gosh, you can see the studio
you can see the studio lights in his eyes.
And this is not a macro episode. I realize I'm probably not even getting picked up fully by my microphone here.
Here we go.
All right, so
let's take a shot.
Let's take a shot.
I want to breathe.
All right.
Look at our buddy. Look at him go.
Play back.
Wow, that detail is amazing.
Look at that.
But look how little depth of field there is.
There is no depth of field.
This is like I don't know. It's wild. This reminds me a little bit of using the L Pro on the FLE, but so much sharper. So much sharper.
Wow. No, look at that. No depth of field. So now that bokeh is pretty good, right?
Well, yeah. Now we're talking. We're so close. We're so close that it's just bokeh for days. But
yeah, let me angle up a little bit.
Yeah, but
let's jump back here. I'm gonna try to see if I can get some of the. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Wow. All right, and let's focus here if I can.
There we go.
Okay, the eye is
Sorry,
sharp
my hands are
now.
on the table again. I'm taking them off. Oh, look at that. I love it.
Okay.
Now we're talking some character. This is where the lens becomes really fun.
Look at that.
Number one, how little depth of field you have. And number two, the character of the bokeh. Oh.
See the overlapping.
Now, again, look at the difference
translucent.
here, though, is that you still don't get a soft edge transition on your bokeh, but you certainly get very dispersed bokeh. I mean, it really is something.
You know what?
Something else.
I'll tell you what. This bokeh right here, it actually reminds me of the 75 and 90 APO Summicron-SLs. They have very similar bokeh response, especially at minimum distance.
Yeah, this is
really cool.
I'm blown away by this. Now,
that's full frame. That's full frame.
This was territory that was previously reserved for the SL lens, because the SL lens, since it's not rangefinder coupled, focuses actually a tiny bit closer, the SL35. But again, in a lens that's a third of the size or less.
This is crazy.
Less than half the weight to focus pretty much as close while still performing so well in every other scenario.
Yeah, there's no sacrifice here.
Mind blowing.
Yeah,
I love it.
This is really
I'm
cool.
going bananas here. I'd say I need it, but I have it right here, so I don't need it.
I know, but like, if you guys even saw how close the tripod is,
it's comical. Yeah,
it's like,
Now, of course, remember, you don't have to just go to 0.3. You've got the range from 0.7 to 0.3.
Right.
So you can play.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, let's go back to live view, because I feel like all the hype's going to be at 0.3, but you can go to 0.4 or 0.5. Don't feel like you have to always just go to minimum. I mean, I guess that's where.
Yeah, look at that range.
That's beautiful.
Right. And
what's that on your lens? Can you see the scale? Probably not.
It's like 0.53 or something.
Okay.
I'm going to go a little bit closer.
So just to be able to focus a little closer than 0.7 meters is nice.
Well, I found in my real life, my out in the world shooting, what I did find is...
Which we're going to show next, by the way.
I am.
Yeah.
I found that I wasn't always at minimum. I was kind of... I jumped into the close focus range a lot more often than I expected to, but just for added flexibility, not to do, macro shots.
Yeah, I'm just clean up the table a little bit here.
But you can take a look at this. This is at... point... Yeah,
Gotta get up to see.
That's 0.45. So it's not minimum, but it still behaves amazingly well. Let's zoom in to that.
Oh, the dog is awake.
Look at that.
Oh. Sorry.
Well, I kind of missed the eyes there, but
a little bit.
You can see that it's sharp, and the bokeh still has a nice response there.
Beautiful.
Really cool. Really cool.
This is how you turn a lens that's not a lux into a lux. I mean, in terms of the
Close focus.
bokeh and the rendering, yeah.
Really helps.
David, why don't you take control of the keyboard here? Because David shot some images with this lens, like he mentioned, and we're gonna show. Look at the mouse.
The mouse?
I'm gonna hold the mouse to me. Like, can't have it.
All right.
My paper's out of the way. Okay. Let's go to the Lightroom.
The old...
Wait, the dog's gonna say hi. Oh, there's a dog.
Hey.
He never makes appearances anymore. He's always
No.
asleep under the table.
Now
But this episode,
he's very excited for this lens.
He decided, yeah, he
Super
probably honestly heard the excitement in my voice and was like, I want to get in on this. So this is Enzo, in case you haven't met him before. We haven't shown him in a long time, so he deserves like 2 seconds.
Oh, there he is.
Jose, can we get a close up on the Doge? And he's out of focus. You got to do your job, focus man. What are we doing? My dog is not permitted to be shown
out of focus.
Out of focus.
He looks so out of focus.
It's going.
My goodness. This is my golden retriever. He'll be 8 years old in May.
There we go.
A big cuddly buddy. Oh, dude. If somebody's tuning in right now, you don't even know. You don't know what's going on. He's the best. He's the Leica Miami mascot. So
yay!
There you go. A little bit of Enzo time for
Okay.
everyone. Let's get to the good stuff.
Let's get to the good stuff. Okay, so let's head over to the old computer. Yay! Look at that, fancy. So like I said, am I minimized?
What were you shooting with? This is SL2.
So right. Let me clarify. So I used actually this exact SL2 that I'm using for the testing right here. With the exact same lens and M adapter that you're seeing live. That's what I headed out. And to answer the question, why didn't I use an M10R when we have one that's a monochrome?
Right here.
Why didn't I just use this M10R? basically it's just a matter of time, and I knew that I wanted to do some shots with the close focus, and I knew that the EVF experience, and also combined with the added benefit of image stabilization in body, also, you know, kind of helps the odds when you have a very short amount of time to deliver something, and you got to come home with the goods.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just go with the tool that you are, you know, more confident with. I think I absolutely want to take this out on the M10R, on the M10 monochrome, because I love working with those cameras, but I don't want to feel rushed.
I mean, the big difference here is that just very quickly before you dive into the shots, is that wide open focusing with the VisiFlex with most lenses can be tricky since they're not all super, super sharp, wide open. And of course, the sharper a lens is wide open, the easier it is to focus. When I popped the APO on the M10R with the VisiFlex, it was almost too easy. I mean, if you struggle with the VisiFlex with the non-APO 35 or even the 1.4 FLE, you won't with the APO because it's just that good.
All right, so let's dive into it. I just quickly selected a few of these, and I think before I show off pretty stuff, I do want to just show a couple test shots.
And we haven't shown enough test shots.
Because we haven't showed enough test shots. So we definitely need to show way more test shots.
We'll get rid of the stuff on the side. I mean, that's good. There we go.
Okay, so what I'm looking at here is, and this is something that I've been kind of spoiled with the 35 Summilux FLE, is very good at what you're seeing here. And this lens is equally good at it. This is in a parking garage, so there's no ambient light. And you have a very, very bright spectral light here that it is blown out. I mean, the camera is not able to capture how much brighter this is. And it's positioned towards the corner of the frame, but it hasn't reduced the overall contrast or resolving power of the lens. So there's no veiling flare and no drop in contrast. This is excellent. We want to see this kind of flare resistance because it's not just about sharpness, it's also how the lens performs under challenging lighting conditions. And you can see the resolution is not affected at all having this bright light right there in the corner.
Show some real pictures. Come on.
Hold on. Now I'm going to show, and this is as ugly as I could get the lens to be, which is right into the light, and you'll see this spot. So we do want to talk about that. I don't know if this is traditional flare or if this is actually just a reflection off the sensor. And it might explain, maybe that's what the extra baffling on the back of the lens is for or something, but it's there. If that's the worst that I'm ever going to get.
You're pointing it directly into a bright light. It's
like
close, right?
8 stops more than the exposure.
Yeah. So that's not bad.
Yeah, and here's just another view of that. So really, this is not bad.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Right. Now let's look at some actual
good
pictures.
stuff, will you please? There we go.
So just in terms, this is wide open, just kind of showing that foreground background separation and our beautiful sunsets.
This image is analogous to anyone who was on the fence about this lens.
Oh,
before this episode.
Can we have a little simple
rim shot? Yeah. Yes.
But you can see that wide open in real life. As we get to the edge of the frame, there is no difference in resolving power at the edges as there is at the center. And color, contrast, tone is really great. This is the one I was talking
I like this one.
about with Josh. This is the sun actually peaked out for a moment here, and I was able to get some high contrast direct sun. And I love we rendered? Nope,
not yet.
It's fast. It's not that fast.
Yeah.
There we go.
Big files.
And the textural detail here is extraordinary. You can also see in the spectral highlights, there's little stars. And this is wide open. This is at f2. So also in real life, when we get into that close focus range, just like I showed you with the bear, you can see that the details definitely start falling away in the background. This is not very far. This is, a plant on the ground. So it's only a foot or two to this object, this other plant behind it. But we're still able to isolate our subject pretty well. And you can see it's just, even, again, as we get to the corners, it's just extraordinarily sharp wide open. And the color and contrast is great. More plants. This is kind of showing that softness at f2, how it gradually falls away, because here, as we get into that close focus range, this is more what I was expect to see from the 35 Summilux. This kind of look and gentle gradation into the edges. More of the same.
I see there's more plants. How many plants did you
Hold on,
photograph?
this is the last of the plants. All right.
No, there's more plants over there.
Yeah, don't worry about those. These aren't the plants you're looking for.
I see.
All right, this one just is pure detail. It's just, it's ridiculous.
I want to talk too about when you start to get this close. Now you're taking a lens that's designed to give you this lack of focus fall off, for lack of a better description, but it's so close that your focus fall off is
It's very rapid.
very, very fast, but it's still extremely linear, extremely even, and consistent from corner to corner throughout the frame, which is exactly what you want to see. I mean, this is...
It's not bad.
All right, let's do some... There we go.
So here is a little more like urban street stuff.
Yeah.
And here, had some nice afternoon light. Just kind of a cool subject, but here we are again. When we glance at the details.
Let it render. We'll show them the corners too.
I'm going to.
Loads, yeah.
So here's the middle. There we go.
Oof.
And
What aperture, David?
No, this is wide open.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is, just extraordinarily level of detail here, f2. And as we get to the corners, it's exactly the same level of detail.
Yeah.
There's no fall off. There's no sacrifice for shooting wide open.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's absurd.
Sweet.
And of course, you see these metal edges, no chromatic aberration whatsoever, which is what you would expect. We're back to these. Let's jump ahead. Okay, now where I think this lens would shine, and I kind of, Josh and I were talking about this before I even went out and did testing. We do feel that this would excel at architecture or landscape because of its very even performance. And here you can see it excels at architecture. I may not, but it does.
And again, we are just to clarify, the FLE at f8
Right.
6.3 does fantastic for this. When we talk about where the lens shines, where the caveat or the qualifier is at or near wide open aperture. That's the whole point.
Yeah, and it's just, it's good everywhere. It's good everywhere. So a little bit more contrast.
Very abstract.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. Yeah, usually I photograph real things and plants. I do a lot of plants.
Plants and bicycles.
Teddy bears.
Teddy bears is a new thing.
Yeah, here's another just example. When you look at that texture, that textural nuance and detail is just, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
Look at these cracks. That's absurd.
Go to that one. I want to see that.
So this is a little bit more, infinity performance. And yep, let's just do it. Let's jump in there. Yeah, we got to load. Loading.
There we go. What aperture?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely an aperture that was on the lens.
Not wide open.
I think it's 5.6.
Okay.
I think it's 5.6, only because it's pretty bright out.
Yeah.
But you can see a non-APO lens sometimes can struggle with these very bright highlights against darker backgrounds in that bright afternoon sun, because this is metal after all. It's aluminum, and sometimes that can glow. It can have chromatic aberration. Here, it is just clean. It's perfectly clean. You can read this exit sign as if you were standing right there. You can see, all the fine details. It's just extraordinary. All the fine details on the leaves, obviously into the shadows. We're not doing a camera review here. The SL2 is great, but the lens, lens. And here's some street photography. I love just the way that it captures the color, the bright color, the light, mixing the light. This kid's hair, hold on, it's loading. Big files. Every strand of hair on this kid's head, and he was moving. I probably shot at a decent shutter speed here. 500th of a second, and you can see f2. So this is shot wide open. We've got a little bit of separation between our subject and this guy behind there. But it really just has a very 3D pop to it, which
show the next one.
we would expect.
No, not that one. Where's the other one?
Oh, the next one?
Yeah, that was boring. Go to the next. Yeah, that one. I love this shot.
Yeah.
It's so sick. This, to me, is a shot that really exemplifies two things about this lens. One is its performance corner to corner in terms of color, contrast, sharpness, focus, all those metrics that matter. And two is just the pleasant nature by which the focus falls off, where it's not, you know, the FLE would have made a very, very different image here. I'm not saying it would be better. I'm not saying it would be worse. But I think as an architectural image that involves a lot of graphics and lines and shapes, not having an overly characterized bokeh lends to a better image, at least in my opinion. And I really like the way this came out.
Yeah, this one is pretty cool. And, you know, sorry about the loading, guys.
These are big files.
They are big files.
Or this computer is
It's
some
fast.
kind of powerhouse.
It is powerhouse. Yeah, and that point of focus is very well defined. And what Josh is talking about is that gradual fall off. Nothing is jarring. And likewise, something that's even more challenging is that front focus fall off. Doesn't get nervous or jittery.
Right.
It's
there's
very,
no squiggles or it's not
No.
broken up. Yeah, it's very smooth.
It's just, and you can see on these monotone images, there's no chromatic aberration front to back, no lateral chromatic aberration. So this is a great example of that.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
Just stuff.
If you know Miami, you know where this is.
It's just this Miami.
This is actually what's crazy about that giant bubble thing is that all that is the
It's a
entrance
parking garage?
to a parking garage. Yeah, that's it. It's not even like a. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's plenty of detail here, but it's not the most interesting shot.
Yeah.
Linearity, in terms of just how straight everything is, lack of distortion. Also, we should mention, in full disclosure, that the SL2 firmware actually doesn't have a lens profile for this. So this is just a generic, I'm actually using a non-APO 35 Summicron profile, and it's obviously doesn't require any correction.
Yeah. All right, let's show like a few more because we got to get to some questions.
Yeah, I'm almost to the end here.
No, you're not.
I am. There's only a few more. All
Barely.
right. Anyway, these are just some more architectural.
Just got to bounce through some stuff. I'll tell you
Great
what,
tone.
Keep going. Keep going.
Well, this one is at f2.
That's the same building.
It is, but I wanted to show.
Okay.
It is the same building at a slightly different time
Oh, of course.
and a different angle, actually.
Yeah. But if
So-
this is wide open, then we should let it.
Oh, no, actually, this is stopped down a little bit.
Oh, well, you know.
Yeah, this is stopped down, and there's a reason.
Okay.
Because we looked at the wide open, and it was perfectly sharp on the building. But here, I just wanted to show the usability in terms of what I would use it for, which is landscape. And you can see that the foreground, I mean, this grass is just, every little blade is perfectly resolved. Every, leaf on that tree is perfectly resolved. And then we have that same level of performance on the fine details close to infinity. It's fantastic. Like, this is a gorgeous landscape lens or architecture. We're going to see the same thing here. It's just amazing details. Okay.
No more plants. No more plants.
Hold
I
on,
like
hold
that
on.
shot though.
I like this shot too. So
This is the last plant shot you get.
This one is more.
Wait, what did I just say?
Hold on. Of using the close focus for creative purposes,
All right.
where you can make these more abstract compositions that you would typically need a macro adapter for or a dedicated lens, and in that close focus range, this is at closest focus, and the level of detail resolving is, again, there's no sacrifice in this close focus range than there is at infinity. And that fall off between focus and out of focus is very nice here. And this one I like quite a lot. Just it shows that edge to edge performance, and just I think this is really where a lens like this shines, because when you have a flat field shot like this of architecture, if this got soft and smeary into the corners, or if it had excessive amount of vignetting, you just lose the effect of the shot. And of course, yes, we could zoom in and you can see that there's just detail for days, but that's not really what the idea of that particular shot is. And this was just not a great shot. I just wanted to show that it was actually Miami. And I think,
They're all kind of similar.
yeah, this one's just a little more character shot. And being able to shoot so far off center, having such an off center subject, let it render. No, that is not what I want. Oh, no. Now we did it. There we go. Okay.
It's not rendered yet.
It's thinking about rendering it. Go, 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 go. There we go. to have this kind of perfect rendering all the way to the edge of the frame and having the confidence that you know that you can do that without sacrificing the overall image, it just lends some creative possibilities. And you can also see there's no vignetting, and totally sharp. That actually is through a fence. I wanted to show that the lens, practically, because it's so small, you can fit it through an opening. A little bit of street photography as it's getting into night here. And it behaves really nicely. Even just the light play off of the subject's faces. It's what you would expect. Everything is sharp. You can practically read the menu here once it renders. If it ever renders. There we go. Yeah, you can read these bottles. And this is wide open at a higher ISO on the SL2, and it's just fantastic. So this lens would be equally good for night photography as it is for during the day. And then I'll just leave you with one kind of cool abstraction. This reminds me of stuff like Ashlyn shoots, which is really cool. She's always really working the colors and stuff.
All right, let's go back to us, Jose. I'm sure we have some questions that we have to answer. Maybe not. I don't know. What do we got in the chat? Anything good?
Why don't we bring it up?
From Alan, is there generally more distortion with M lenses than SL lenses because of the size of the lens?
I don't think as a rule. There's a lot more M lenses than there are SL lenses, so I don't know if I can answer that comprehensively. But I think, in general, the SL primes are better than the M primes. We've talked about this before. The SL primes are the benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. M lenses are great, and you can't, no matter how good the SL prime is, you can't put it on an M camera. So it's a moot point. Yes, okay. Now this is not an M camera, but you can't mount it on an M camera.
True.
Yeah.
Question from Mark. Why didn't Leica follow the Leica Q 28mm dual range design instead of the long focus throw of the 35 APO?
Well, when you have a camera where half the focus and lens mechanism is built into the camera because it's not removable, you can do a lot more. I think when you have a lens that has to come off, you're a little more limited in what you can do.
And honestly, I like this implementation a little better because I don't necessarily want to be in a macro range all the time. I like the flexibility of jumping. Let's say I don't want to shoot at 0.3, but I also don't want to shoot at 0.7. I want to shoot at 0.6. I can.
Yeah. Because
you just jump right into that closer focus range and you're good to go.
Let's see.
How would this lens work with a macro adapter, the 35 APO M?
Oh, I knew someone was going to ask us that.
I can't even get close enough.
We can't get any closer. Probably fine. I did not test that because I only had so much time.
Here, I'll do this for you guys. Take the next question. I'm gonna grab these crayons.
All right. Okay. Why don't you take the macro adapter?
Will
these images be posted? Probably not. But if you email David, he might send them to you. So, because if there's one thing David loves to do, it's share his pictures. So, email this guy, and he'll send you all the things you want to see.
All right, Josh. While he's doing that,
yes.
How do you think this lens will perform? The differences between on an M10R and an M10.
Well, the same. I mean, it's going to be exceptional on either. There's no real, the differences you're going to see are going to be because the cameras are different or the sensors are different. It's not going to be like this lens is not going to perform better on an M10R than it would on that's not a variable. It's still going to be exceptional on M10 or on a M240 even.
Oh my gosh,
or
this
on
is
an M9
ridiculous.
Or any of those things. Are you doing okay over there?
No.
Okay.
No, I think I'm broken.
What else we got, Jose?
Jeez.
Can I use a rangefinder camera with the close focusing mode?
We talked about that. You can, but only if you have live view, because the 0.3 to 0.69 meter focusing is only for live view. It's not rangefinder calibrated. What else?
If I have an M10R and a 35 Summilux pre-FLE, should I upgrade to FLE or 35 APO?
Oh, that's a good question. I think a lot of that depends on what you shoot. If you're doing a lot of low light or street or portrait, or if you like the character your pre-FLE puts out, get the FLE. It's a lens that will feel familiar to you, except better. But if you're shooting landscape, architecture, and you're just looking to get the maximum performance possible, get the APO. Mm-hmm. Of course, the other variable, at least as of the time of this taping, is, well, you can buy a new FLE right now, but there's a waiting list for the APO 35. So it also depends on your needs. If your needs are not urgent, you could wait. You have more considerations there, but if you need something tomorrow, well, you're not going to get an APO. At least not from me. I don't know where
Okay.
else anyone has them.
Jose,
Yes.
if you would.
Oh my goodness. Wow. This is live view?
This is live view.
Okay.
You can see.
So we are at, this is 35 APO M.
Yep.
What aperture wide open?
Yep.
Focus to 0.3.
Yep.
Macro adapter full extension.
Yes. Yes, macro adapter is fully engaged.
So if you know how big crayons are, this is just the edges of the tips of the crayons. That
Yeah,
is
here's
wild.
my finger. it's so
That is, wow, that's so close.
yeah, here, and I'll magnify.
But is there anything
look
that's
at
sharp? Is there anything in focus?
Well,
Because when you take a floating lens element lens and you put an extension tube on it, it never seems to work as well as it should.
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
I would think the L Pro is better suited than
Well,
the macro
let's see.
adapter.
So if let's just stop down a little bit and see what it does.
Yeah, I would say you got to go to 5.6 at least.
Wow, there we go.
Now you're starting to get to it. Well, it's still not as sharp as it is without the macro adapter. No, it's not. I think the L Pro is better. I would do take a shot with that, and then let's pop on the L Pro, which I can give you. It's right here.
That's pretty good right there. Look
It's
at
not
that.
bad, but I'm just saying the L Pro is going to be better. I'm just telling you straight up.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm going to clean it up for you.
All right, I'm gonna take a shot. Here we
Okay.
go. That's not bad.
All right,
Okay.
Try this. You got to,
Oh my gosh! But turn the
Why are you moving it?
well, because I wanted to show how
We want to
close
show
you
the same side with the L Pro first.
are. All right.
Can't take you anywhere.
No, very few places. Okay, so we're taking the macro adapter
Off.
off.
Okay. L Pro already has the adapter on it. Gotta take the hood off. That's right. This is another reason you'd want to take the hood off. Taking that. You already messed it up once.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Look at that. First time this is probably the first time someone's put an L Pro on this lens.
But not the last.
I bet. Here
Oh,
we go.
it is a little confusing because the focus tab is flipped over. I'm like, wait,
Yeah,
where?
wait.
Oh, here.
Yeah, look at the red
always,
dot.
always look for the red dot.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we just tried the macro adapter on the 35 APO M. Now we are trying the L Pro on the 35 APO M.
Not as close.
And
Oh, let's see.
all the way to minimum.
Ooh. Yeah, that's the minimum. So we're definitely not as close.
Not nearly as close. Where's the focus? We gotta move back.
Mm,
Oh boy.
yep.
Yeah, we gotta move back. Way farther back and tilt it up a little bit. So you can see you're not getting as close, but it definitely is sharper.
Has more of a wide feel to it, for
Yeah,
sure.
it does have more of a wide angle feel.
Well, no, I feel like I could be closer.
Oh wait, you good?
Yeah,
Up,
there we go.
Up, there you go. Nice.
You guys can see how easy it is to do this.
Especially in real time while people are watching you and judging you
There we go.
and correcting
Okay.
you.
Yes,
Quite a bit farther away. So take a shot and then make sure you have the same aperture, 5.6.
I am.
Okay.
Oh, unknown lens. Hold on, let me set a lens profile here
Oh,
real
yes.
quick.
This is really good experimenting. We haven't done this yet, so we're actually in real time discovering this with you guys.
We have to find. Oh wow, look at that.
It's definitely sharper, I think.
Well, it's stopped down, so
well,
I gotta go back just. There we go.
nice.
That's not bad.
No.
And a shot. Hands up. Okay.
So just bounce between the two.
Okay. Here we go. So this is with the L Pro. Thank you, Jose. What is sharp?
Not much.
Well, that's pretty sharp.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I mean, that's like crayon dust.
Yeah,
All right, and let's jump to the macro adapter.
quite a bit closer.
Yeah, I think the macro adapter is gonna take the win here. Look at that.
Honestly, if you have any M lenses that are 35
Wow.
or longer, you should have at least one of these macro things. And we
Look at
talked
that.
about this at length in our last macro episode.
Look at that. That's a lot of detail.
Yeah. So yeah, it does work, although it doesn't have the same biting sharpness that the lens does on its own. Obviously, it gets a lot closer, which is pretty nice. So that was cool. That was a cool test.
Yeah, and I want to show them. I'm going to go back to this. Let's switch out for the macro adapter.
Okay.
I take the,
You're taking only the L Pro itself off, not the adapter.
whoops.
Move the hood back. Just because we got some lights here.
Yep.
Okay.
I did flag the light today.
No flare problems. today.
I'm doing my job. That's what we call light control.
Right. So the L Pro back.
Okay. So sorry for the administrations here, but I wanted I think it's worth seeing how close we are when I'm at minimum distance here on the L Pro. Or not on the L Pro, on the macro adapter.
Let me get this out of your way here. There we go.
Okay. So that one, to be sharp, was about right there. And I'm going to turn this so you guys can see. Oops.
Careful.
How close we're talking. Okay, now, yep, it's sharp, right? It's evidenced. There we go.
There we go. Okay.
That's sharp.
Now go back to the full view.
Oh,
Jose.
let me raise it up for a little better composition. There we go. Okay, now go back to the full view of both of us so you can see. And let's see.
There's an iPhone.
Here's one iPhone, two iPhone, three. It's about 4 iPhone thicknesses away. I can barely fit my hand in between here. Just barely.
So that's the 35 APO M
Yes.
on the SL2 with the macro adapter, everything fully extended, minimum focus.
Oh,
No?
no.
Oh my goodness, what?
Wait,
You're not a minimum?
I wasn't quite at minimum.
You're literally killing me.
Oh,
right now.
I'm so sorry. Jump back to the live view so I can see. Oh, no, it was.
Was it?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, it
okay,
was.
okay.
Okay, so that is...
That actually looks that's pretty good. I take it back. I retract my previous statement. I think you just weren't in focus before.
Yeah, I think this is really good.
Okay, so if you have an APO M, you should get the 35, or the, if you have a 35 APO, you should get the macro adapter M.
Instead of the L
If you
Pro.
don't have it, instead of the L Pro. Yes. I'm
And
reversing
here,
my stance on that.
Jump back to that. There we go.
Oh my goodness.
So that's decent. That's...
Yeah. And again, this is like we're doing this very quickly and very informally.
This is not what we call
Yeah. I'd have to do some controlled testing. Here.
critical shooting situation, but it's pretty cool. All right, and we got the crayons for the macro. that
So
we missed out.
I would say since it's almost 10, are there any questions in the chat left, or anyone who's watching that wants to submit us a last minute question about the 35 APO M? We're here to answer it. I think we've somehow, not surprisingly, managed to go 2 hours about
Talking about
one
one thing,
lens. It's just imagining spending time with us in person. It's really it's almost unbearable. But
For us too.
Jose understands.
What? What happened?
Jose has to sit there and take it. We are going to get a Jose cam at some point.
We are going to do it.
You're going to see.
All right.
You're
So,
going to see what this man
so
looks like.
what's going on in the chat? How many? What kind of questions can we answer?
I think
before
we've done
do
a
sign
pretty
up?
good. I'm going to scroll through real quick.
A lot of comments. A lot of comments.
Contrast difference between 50 and 35 APO M's?
They're really
That's
close.
not nominal enough that it's not going to be noticeable once you put a preset on there. I'm just seeing.
How about corner distortion?
corner distort? Corner distortion?
You mean corner fall off?
Corner.
Like fall off of focus, or
I think the SL lens has less distortion than the 35 does, but it's not bad.
it's probably better corrected.
Enzo
But
has
it's also-
officially endorsed the new lens. That's
It's a lot bigger.
Oh, right. I didn't see any of the comments when Enzo was on screen, but I'm scrolling up. I'm like, Enzo. Let's see. Good question. Not
So
good.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say I have an SL2
Yes.
and I'm looking for a 35 APO.
Mm-hmm.
Should I get the SL
Mm-hmm.
or should I get the M, knowing that they're going to be very close in performance and the M is a lot smaller? Like, what am I giving up if I go with the
Sure.
M lens?
I think if you have an M camera, the answer is you probably should get a 35 APO M.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it depends on what you're going to do, because if you go with the APO SL, you're getting autofocus, weather sealing, electronic aperture control, slightly closer focus than even the M lens.
0.26 meters rather than 0.3.
Yeah, which makes a difference. And it is still a better performer, right? I mean, we're splitting hairs,
Very
but
slightly.
it is better. The real downside really is that it's larger. And of course, it doesn't work on an M. So if you already have an FLE and an M camera, I would get the APO SL. If you don't have any 35, maybe you've got like a version 5 sphere or something, then I would probably get the APO M. But of course, the APO M, I have the pricing here because I always forget, is $3,000 more than the APO SL. So that may also factor in, because you can get an APO SL and then a 35 Summicron regular. For the
Well,
difference.
now that brings up, I'm going to just play devil's advocate
Sure,
here.
fire away.
Okay, well, why would this lens, the M lens, be $3,000 more than the SL lens if the SL lens is a slightly better performer?
Sure.
And it's autofocus and it's weather sealed.
Yeah, because the precision and the complexity required to pack, I think it's 10 elements
Mm-hmm.
with macro, with that level of performance, and have it rangefinder coupled is insane.
Well, coupling and decoupling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, they have a lot more space to work with the SL primes. So much more. It's so much easier to do that.
Let's take another look at the size difference here.
Think about the gearing and the mechanics required to get the manual preciseness of the 35M. I mean,
right. Keep in mind that this ring,
please don't put it down like that.
this focus ring on the SL lens
There we go.
is a fly-by-wire. There's no mechanical linkage to the focus system. It's actually magnets, and it measures the polarity difference to translate that to the motor. But it's electronic. It's fly-by-wire. So there is no mechanical linkage in this lens the way there is in the M lens.
Yeah. I've seen a few questions about like, oh, is it hard to get? Yeah. I mean,
Impossible.
when the 50 APO came out in 2012, it took us, 18 months to fulfill our waiting list. This is just the reality of Leica making a very exotic lens. It just takes time. But you know what? 50 APO, of course, it's actually not in stock right now, but after that initial wait, it was relatively easy to get. So everybody forgot about the wait time. So that initial sort of teething period where the stuff is really, really hard to get, it's frustrating, but it'll pass.
Mm-hmm.
It will pass eventually. I remember what Noctilux is. Remember when 50 Noctilux?
I do.
That's like a 3-year waiting list.
Yeah.
Now you
I
can
remember
walk in and buy one.
I remember when the FLE. The FLE was a
FLE
2-year
was
wait.
crazy waiting list. Yeah, so it happens, but
50 APO was a waiting list.
it'll be worth the wait, I think. I mean, I know from using it that it's crazy good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any other last minute questions before we sign off? Let's see. I'm not looking.
Filter size?
An E39 filter.
39.
E39. So same as the regular Summicron.
You know, I do wish we brought a filter. It actually sits inside.
Yeah, you can't use a polarizer with the hood because you can't reach it.
No. But you can use let's get a close-up. Where is the close-up camera? Josh, here.
You got it?
Just kind of show them also just the inside, how there's a cutaway inside. You got to move back a little bit, I think. There we go.
What am I showing them?
Just angle it so you can see that there's actually a recess. There's a lip under here. There's a ridge kind of area where the filter can still sit inside the hood.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you can use a hood and the filter at the same time. You just have to remove the hood first.
Mm-hmm.
Access the filter threads, which are here. And then you put the filter on and then you put the hood over it. That's easy.
Because it has the hood is on the outer threading, the filter's on the inner threading.
But of course, if you're using a polarizer or the L Pro or something like that, you'll just remove the hood and use the protective ring that comes in the leather case. That's all. Very nice. There it is. Okay, put that here. I'm not putting it anywhere near you. Yeah, but it's your lens, but even so, I'll trust you with it.
Is this the new one lens to do it all for you guys?
No, I don't think so.
It's pretty flexible, though.
I know, but I still think that, I don't know. I said no pretty fast because I still love the FLE, but I've had a long time to use the FLE.
I know, me too.
And I would say, for me, the FLE on an M10R and the 35 APO SL on an SL2 or an SL2S is the dream combo. I realize that's 4 things instead of 2 things, but it's so hard for me to choose. And the reality is that the tools we use are situational dependent and creative objective dependent. So there's really not. Look, I respect anyone that can take one lens and one camera, just go and do everything with it. I cannot. David definitely cannot. And that's fine. Everyone's got their own way of doing
it yesterday,
things.
though.
You did do it yesterday. But I do think that if you are just looking to get the best performance, the just bleeding edge sharpness, no compromises. You're not trying to get magical bokeh or portrait character, yada, yada, yada. You just want the best performance possible. When I say performance, I mean sharpness, contrast, chromatic aberration, distortion, all those metrics. The 35 APO M on an M10R or an M10 monochrome would be killer.
You know, this might make me rethink my strategy.
How so?
Because up until now, I use the 35 FLE Summilux as my low light, because it's 1.4, my bokeh character lens, and I have the 50 APO as my.
I see where this is going.
As my look, this is just perfect. But I'll be honest, I'm more of a 35 shooter. I don't use the 50 as much So what if, you know where I'm going, right?
Mm-hmm.
I go back
50 lux,
to the 50 Summilux
35 APO.
and the 35 APO. Exactly.
That is interesting. I'm going to try that soon because I do have a bit of a renewed love affair with the 50 lux as of late.
Especially when we took a look at it in the Knockbox episode. I'm like, wow, this is really nice.
I kind of forgot about it. We got the 50 APO kind of like blinded us, and that's probably what the 35 APO is going to do to the FLE at some point.
I think so.
Fascinating.
I think that, like right now,
Yeah.
this is where the gears are turning. Because you guys have to understand something. You know, we just shot this yesterday. Josh just shot all these tests today. Like we spent the better part of today analyzing and looking at these files, and then live with you, actually test shooting and seeing how this worked. And you know, we're still kind of processing all this and seeing where does this fit in for our own photography.
Yeah.
And that's like just sitting here. I'm really leaning that way of like 35 APO, 50 lux is just going to slot in, I think, really nicely into my system, because then the 50 takes that job as kind of the look lens of the portrait lens, and the 35 is going to be that kind of do everything, and it can do close-ups, it can do a lot of
I think with the macro adapter and the VisaFlex in your bag, you have everything from a super macro setup to a nice portrait with the 50. Yeah, I do think that an M10R with a 35 APO, 50 lux, macro adapter, VisaFlex in your bag, you can fit that in a Bowery, own a Bowery little bag.
Yeah.
Or smaller, would be a really, really, really nice 2-lens kit for a lot of things.
And then, because you can't just have 2 lenses, I would think, you know, you could throw a 21 in there.
Ooh, a 21 Super Elmar would be amazing.
And then it gives
so
you,
good,
then you'd have your wide angle flexibility.
Yeah.
You'd have the 35 as a kind of a do everything lens. You have the 50 as a look lens. Get the macro adapter.
Let me do, if people are asking size comparisons, let me do that really quick.
Yeah. Do you want to put it on the table?
Can we do that, Jose? Is it too high?
Sure, we can do it.
Let's try that.
Here.
Think that? It's distracting. All right, we're gonna try to, because I'm just gonna show the
each set.
Yeah, I'll show it against. Let me put it at minimum. Infinity here. Infinity.
Prep these for you.
Yeah, thank you. Just so you guys can see how the lenses compare in size. Okay, so here we've got.
Yep. There you go. And there. There we go.
Let me go a little bit over. Okay. All right, here we've got 35 APO FLE. I'll take off the hoods so you can see them without the hoods. This will just be good for screenshots later if you wanted to see the size differences. So not that much different. They're pretty close. So that's 35 APO M and the FLE. Then we can go to the Summicron version 6, if I can get this hood back on. There we go. Let's take the FLE out for a second. This is the Summicron version 6, current version, against the APO. You can see it's actually a bit taller, but that's really only because the hood is quite large. If we again take off the hoods, very good stuff. There we go. You can see, there we go, exactly how much smaller the non-APO. Anyway, there we go. The non-APO is.
Wow.
Yeah. So but although not that much, I mean, it's smaller. But then if we go to the Summarit, someone asked about. There we go. They're very, very, very close in size.
The hood shape is similar.
With the hoods attached. Well, of course, again, take off the hoods, and you'll see just how much smaller the Summarit. Even though, ironically, the Summarit's a larger filter size at an E46, Summarit is smaller. So hopefully that answers the size comparison questions. If not, I don't know what else.
And then here, one more.
Oh, the APO SL. Okay.
I don't have a rear cap for this one.
That's okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's obviously kind of comical in a sense.
But it's real. I mean, and we see the same thing with the 75 APO SL versus the 75 APO M.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's your size comparisons, people. Hopefully that answers some of those questions.
For sure.
Can the Summarit hood go on the APO 35?
I was thinking that, and I just put it. Okay, let's try it. I love it. I love all this like real time. Does that? Like, will it blend? I don't know.
Let's not try that. Is that
Here we
even a
go.
thing anymore?
It will not. It's so close. What
Oh,
about the other way around? Just for fun.
I doubt it. Really?
Okay, so look at this. The 35 APO hood
Wow.
fits on the Summarit,
Don't do that.
but the 35 Summarit hood
That's not good.
does not fit on the APO.
That's cool.
Wonder why that is. Now I'm like, oh wait,
Oh, it does?
it does. That's hilarious. Okay, so if you don't like, here we go. World first right here. Let's get the close up. If you don't like the
The look of this
Summarit
shade.
or the APO-Summicron hood, you can actually mount the Summarit. This is product code 12439. It actually does fit on the APO-Summicron.
Operators are standing by.
Operators standing by. That is hilarious. Wow. Well, there you go. Learning something new every day.
Well, that actually might afford a little bit more protection because it's deeper.
True. Although I don't know if it'll vignette. I doubt it if it's the same.
No, it shouldn't have been yet at all.
Yeah. Why are there any spots on this thing? What's going on?
I don't know.
I'm not allowed to take anything anymore.
Nope, not even a little bit.
There we go.
Look, at least I didn't take it in the rain.
It's good now. It's good now. Okay. Other questions. I want an Apple hood for my Summarit. I don't know. The Apple hoods are. Is there even a code on here? There's not even a product code on this
Is
hood.
it on the inside?
Hold on.
We're looking.
Yeah.
Because nobody loves hoods more than this guy right here.
there is no product code on this hood, and there wasn't any instruction manual.
Oh.
I'll have to find out. I will ping the Germans, and they will tell me. World exclusive, yes. Oh my goodness. All right, I think we've probably covered more than we really needed to.
I think in summary,
Yeah.
it's a lens. It's 35 millimeter focal length.
Yep.
It's f2.
Yep.
It's uncompromising performance.
Yep.
It's smaller than the SL. And it's really good. And it focuses close.
So our next episode will be kind of our 30th,
Yeah.
sort of. So that means because we do every 10, we do Ask Us Anything. So are we doing next weekend or I guess 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks normal. So we're on a normal every other week schedule now. We'll have our Ask Us Anything episode, episode 30. So come prepared with all of your wide-ranging questions. Pretty much all will be about what Leica is going to do next, and we don't know.
And you can send your questions ahead of time to questions@red.forum.com.
Yes, questions at red.forum.com. Again, this episode will be Ask Us Anything. So whatever you want to know about something we covered, didn't cover, something we said wrong, anything Leica related or technique related, ask us. And we'll have 2 full hours to cover it on air.
And I might even leave the shooting setup so we can do some live comparisons.
Yeah, that'd be
if
fun.
someone's like, hey, how does a... I don't even... And you know what? I'm not even going to say. I'm not even going to say. I don't want to like have that rabbit.
Yeah.
We're going to leave it. So we'll leave a live shooting setup like we have here, but we will remember to water the flowers this time because the previous flowers died. Flowers were harmed in the making of this production. The other ones were planted outside, and they're in a happier place now.
Oh, that's excellent.
Okay, so make sure to send your questions. I think you can also, you could also tweet us questions at red.forum, just at red.forum, or you can message us at red.forum on YouTube as well.
So many ways. So many
many
ways. We're here for you.
All right. Well, I think we definitely did it. And live shooting, test shots, real world shooting.
And remember, if there's more stuff you
comparisons.
want to know, you can comment on this video once it's posted, and David reviews all the comments, so he will answer you.
Yeah. And thanks for sticking with us, guys. This was, I know, just probably a bit more techie and laser focused than we usually are, which is saying something. I know I had a great time. This lens, I think, is something I've been looking forward to for a long time, in terms of wishing and hoping, and maybe one day they'll have this, and they have it. So wishes do come true, guys, and I got it. Big thanks as always to Josh. His testing is invaluable, and insights and encyclopedic knowledge of lens hoods. Big thanks to Jose for keeping us in the angles and getting our captions and handling your questions. And thanks for you guys for tuning in. Again, this was a lot of fun for us. This is what we love to do,
Yes.
and we're here for you.
If anybody would be willing to watch more lens specific episodes, I'm curious about that. So mention it in the comments, because This is the first time we've done that, and I wonder if we can keep going.
I liked it.
And the last thing you have to mention is the milestone that we just
Oh
hit.
yes. Oh, and again, thanks to you guys. This morning we hit 15,000 subscribers, which, look, I know that's not like a ton, but it's
good. It's a lot for us.
It's a lot for us,
And we're flattered.
We are, and we're honored that you keep coming back and allowing us to, nerd out with you on all things Leica and photography.
Indeed.
So in the meantime, be sure to check out red.forum.com. Be sure to subscribe because we got to add to that subscriber count. 15,000 just isn't enough. So hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. And we will see you in 2 weeks for Ask Us Anything again.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys, and have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.